I'm Terri Savelle, and I'm so glad you're watching today. Ladies, I want to invite you to our annual Icy Women's event. It's coming up here in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a sweet encounter with God. You are going to leave all your pain at the altar and take vision back home. Be sure and register. It's free, but you got to save your seat and your treat. So, speaking of women, I read recently where research shows that women talk more than men. Like, we didn't know that. But there's actual scientific proof that says we speak about 13,000 more words per day than guys do. They said that women speak about 20,000 words per day, where guys speak about 7,000 words per day. So the article I was reading said now we can silence men with science, that we have this extra language protein called the gift of gab. So it's proven. But, it's interesting because they also showed that we speak about 20,000 words, accounting for 95% of the vocabulary used in daily conversation. Only 2,000 words, I think I said 20,000, only 2,000 words account for 95% of the vocabulary used just in daily talk, proving that it's not how many words you use to make you an effective English communicator, but it's how you use them that affects your life. You think about that. We grow up, in certain environments, and we catch on to certain phrases. We talk a certain way based on the area we live in. For example, I've, been raised my whole life in Texas. Well, we use certain phrases, we say y'all, we say reckon, we say fixin'. I say fixin' for everything. I'm fixing to get ready. I'm fixing to go to the mall. I'm fixing to go put my makeup on. We say fixin' for everything. Well, it's the same with other phrases that we just kind of grow up saying, and we really don't even know what they mean or where they came from. We just say them because we get used to hearing them. In fact, I was looking up some funny things like cliches that just catch on. Like, have you ever used the phrase, bite the bullet? Well, that means, to knuckle down and do something you really don't want to do. Just bite the bullet and do it. Well, that phrase, I thought this was so interesting. It came from surgical procedures before the use of anesthesia. Surgeons would operate on wounded soldiers, giving them a bullet to bite on to distract them from the pain. Just bite the bullet. Well, then we say it and we don't even know where it came from. What about this one? Cat got your tongue? I used to hate when people would say that, but cat got your tongue, meaning you're being silent on a matter. Listen to where this came from. It stems from Middle Eastern punishment when liars' tongues were ripped out of their mouths and fed to the king's cats. Cat got your tongue. You might think of that differently now when you say that. Or have you ever said, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? I've heard Jesse Duplantis say that many times. That means don't get rid of the valuable things along with the unnecessary things. Well, you won't believe where that phrase came from. Listen to this. This origin is as surprising as it is repulsive. It says in the early 1500s, people only bathed once a year. That's not filthy enough. It says families also bathed in the same water without changing it. The adult men would bathe first, then the women, finishing off with the children, and then last would be the babies. By the time the babies were bathed, the water was so clouded with dirt, scum, and filth. The mothers had to take extra care that their babies were not literally thrown out with the bathwater. But think about it. We say those kind of things, and we don't even have a clue where it came from, but they just catch on, and we just say them. Well, my point is there's also negative statements that we tend to pick up on because the people around us say it, the people we grew up with say it, and we catch on to it without realizing the impact it has on our lives. For example, just saying things like, I could never live in a house like that. I could never afford something like that. That's too expensive for me. I never get any good breaks. I'm just unlucky. I can't lose weight. I have a slow metabolism. Or I could never get that job. No matter what I do, I never get promoted. I guess I'm just unlucky. Well, we say those kind of things without realizing the negative impact it has on our lives. Well, the one thing that reveals where your life is headed is your words. It's the words that are coming out of your mouth. Jesus told us throughout the Word of God that life and death are in the power of the tongue. He also told us in Romans to call things that be not as though they already are. So you start speaking positive words out of your mouth. Your life will move in the direction that you send it with your words. In fact, I read about an experiment Dr. Emoto did using water over cooked rice. Now, I thought this was so amazing. This experiment has gone all over the world. In fact, homeschoolers have done it. College students, they've experimented with the same type of thing and gotten similar results. This is what he did. He had 3 jars where he put labels on them. On one label, he wrote, "Thank you." On another jar, he wrote, "You're an idiot." And then on the third jar, he put nothing. Well, for 30 solid days, a whole month, he actually spoke to the jar based on what the label said. So for the jar that said "thank you," he said he would speak pleasing words, complimenting it. He would affirm the jar for 30 days. For the "you're an idiot" jar, he said he would yell harsh, demeaning words. And for the third jar, he simply ignored it altogether. Now, this is amazing. After 30 days of consistent treatment, the thank you rice began to ferment, to look appealing and give off a strong, pleasant aroma. The "you're an idiot" rice turned mostly black and mushy, giving off a sour milk aroma. And then for the neglected jar, he said it simply began to rot and mold, turning this disgusting blue color. Since then, like I said, college students and people have experimented getting the same results. Now, this is the point. If rice can be affected by positive and negative statements as well as total neglect, how much more could your circumstances be affected by the words of your mouth? Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Well, when I began to realize the seriousness of this, I've known the power of words my whole life. But when I started speaking on purpose with intentional effort, declaring things like I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm qualified, I'm disciplined, spirit, soul, and body, I'm blessed to be a blessing, my spirit attracts God-inspired ideas that produce millions of dollars. Well, when I started speaking those words out of my mouth, my life began to move in that direction. As a result, I now have more energy than I did when I was in my 20s. I'm more productive than I was in my 30s. My marriage has been restored. My body is healed. My ministry's been launched. My Icing Women's event, came to fruition. Everything that I began speaking out of my mouth began to happen, and the same will happen for you. If you want to know where your life is headed, listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth. So I want to encourage you, get our new book on pep-talk, or make your own list of positive declarations that you can begin speaking out of your mouth every day. Change what you're saying, you'll change what you're seeing. If you're enjoying this podcast, please share it with a friend, subscribe to this podcast, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter so I can keep you motivated to achieve your dreams. I'll see you next week. I believe it's one thing to have a dream for your life, but when you discover God's plan for your life, that's the icing on the cake.
It's more than a women's conference. It's a 2-day event that can change the course of your life. So make plans now to join Terri, Savelle Foy, and women from around the world at Icing 2016. You don't want to miss this unforgettable weekend of awesome worship, new friendships, fun-filled activities, and practical life application teaching with Terri. It's a sweet treat you don't want to miss. We'll see you at Icing 2016, October 14th and 15th at the Will Rogers Coliseum in Fort Worth, Texas. For more information and to register for this free event, visit terri.com. Don't wait. Register today.